Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Daily Racing Form YouTube. I'm Gino Buccola alongside Mike Beer with producer Lucia helping us out for a race preview. We're going to head on over to Aqueduct with Kentucky Derby points on the line in the Jerome. But before we get there, we want to remind all of you about the Daily Racing Form New Year's sale all the way through January the 6th. Use that coupon code NEW2026 when you head to shop.drf.com. You can get 15% off all of your favorite Daily Racing Form products. Mike, you and I are recording on Tuesday morning, and we're sitting here, and it's about 30 minutes to post for where Mailata is actually going to run at Parks. So this field of 5 is going to be scratched down to a field of 4 on Saturday. Enforced Agenda, Freedom's Echo, My World, and Balboa. There will be Kentucky Derby points up for grabs. I think it will be based now on a sliding scale because when the fields are smaller than 5, it gets broken down to a percentage here. So looking at this field of 4 now, what were your quick thoughts on this one?
Not an ideal way for New York anyway to kick off their preparations for the Kentucky Derby.
No.
Listen, I'm used to when you see these races placed early on the card in New York, you always get a bad feeling. I'll be honest, it's even worse than I anticipated before
Yeah.
I pulled the PPs. This is a pretty ugly race.
Especially when we can take a look at the projector, when you compare it to like the Smarty Jones race that we
Yeah.
were just looking at earlier, which is a field of 9. It's a competitive field. You can make a case for 6 or 7 different horses in there, but we're only going to end up with 4, it looks like, in this Jerome, and maybe even less by the time we get there. Here's what the pace projector has with Balboa and My World up front early on. Now, Balboa is interesting because early in his career, he was sprinting. Then he won a sprint, 2 starts back at Laurel, then stretched out to a mile and an eighth in the Remsen. But for the most part, I figure he's going to be around in the mix early on. That's where he's been at his best. My World seems like he has some of the natural speed in this field. He's just been close and sitting just off the pace. And he's probably one of the more, if not the most likely winner in the field.
No doubt. I mean, it feels like what we're left with here with the 4 that we, at least at this stage of the game are running. I mean, all 4 of them have enough speed here to be involved in this race. So I don't really know. It's going to be a little bit of a rider's race here just to see what these guys decide to do. But there's certainly a chance that this thing is competitive right from the start.
Absolutely, because they've all been close and they all want to try to hold that position.
Yeah.
Let's meet the field for the Jerome. It's going to go as race number 3 on Saturday. $150,000 up for grabs, the 1-turn mile there, and Kentucky Derby points on the line. Here's Enforced Agenda, and we actually have a replay of that November 23rd race. I thought it was a pretty good effort. The horse was 5th, about 2 lengths off early, and then angled to the outside. 3-4 wide up the challenge, just outside the pace setter. Kind of sustain that bid throughout, up to lead in the early stretch. For a horse going a mile first time out of the box, this guy was 23-1, and I thought a pretty solid effort.
Yeah, I'm going to give him extra credit for that too. Yeah, he was not only 23-1, Jenny, he's the longest shot on the board in this field. So he didn't really take any money in that race, but certainly, and debuting at a mile is not an easy thing to do.
No.
He certainly handled that well. He was also very green in that race. Green early, raced up for position. You could see him still a little green in the stretch there as he hooked up into that duel. And I think that's another thing worth pointing out because it's not like he just made the lead and they handed this race to him. They made him race for it, and he raced for it. Did a lot of good things in that start. I'm not surprised that Weaver wants to test him right away.
Freedom's Echo is the number 2. He debuted going 5.5 at Parks, didn't show much. But when he stretched out to a mile, he also dropped in class to the maiden claiming level. Absolutely destroyed a field. He won by 11 lengths that day, got the lead really easily, and just opened up. Didn't really have to go quick fractions, though. I mean, it was pretty easy for him to get the lead and just control that race.
Yeah, I feel comfortable saying that even if he's on the lead in the Jerome on Saturday, he's not going to be walking a half in 49. They're going to make him race from start to finish in here. It's probably going to be too much for him.
My World has won back-to-back races, including the Nashua most recently on November the 1st at Aqueduct. Here's a replay look at that one. He was second. He was in the 2-path. He was pressing the pace setter. He actually moved to the lead without really being asked going into the stretch, and he put away a big challenge from the runner-up in here who kind of loomed up to his outside, and he kicked on. He's been very professional in his last 2. He took a nice step forward into the Nashua, and I think he just feels like probably the horse to beat in here now in this small field.
Yeah, I liked this performance from him. I particularly like the way he finishes this race off going the mile. It's a really good, run through the final furlong there when that horse came up the inside to challenge him. That was a really nice performance. I remember not being thrilled with his debut at Saratoga, but he just spent a lot of time sort of in behind horses. So maybe they were giving him a little bit of an education there. ran better in his second start, ran even better in the Nashua. And obviously, you know, you can't argue with this spot for him.
One of the greatest fake athletes of all time, right? Rocky Balboa, he's bobbing, he's weaving.
Oh, yes.
We always know about Rocky. Can Balboa get the job done here in the Jerome? Won a stakes race at Laurel sprinting. Then he was second in the Remsen, and that was going a mile and an eighth. At the top of the lane, he was right in contention, and then he just couldn't go on in the final eighth of a mile with the top contenders there. What do you do with Balboa cutting back to the one-turn mile?
Listen, even we'll see what happens. We'll see how good My World and maybe even Enforced Agenda, we'll see how good they turn out to be. I think it's fair to say, though, at this stage of the game, the Remsen was a really strong race. I mean, there are several horses in that field who you feel like are going to be factors on the Derby Trail. This is a pretty significant step back in class for this horse. That also, I think, helps him to drop back to a one-turn mile. Because as you mentioned, he took over at the top of the stretch of the Remsen and made it to about the eighth pole. And you could just tell he wasn't going to finish from there. He didn't have anything left. Going shorter helps him. He ran well last time against a good field. I feel like, I know he started out for Baffert. I feel like he improved winning his first start for Brittany Russell at Laurel too. It's a very logical horse in this spot.
And you compare him to the rest of the field, he's run 6 times. He just has a little more bottom than the rest of the field that only run 3 times. We had a fictional athlete and then a real athlete, Mailata, who won't be running in here. He'll try to win another Super Bowl for the Eagles, I believe. Strong offensive tackle there, Mailata. So that rounds out our field. Just a small field now. Looks like a field of 4, Mike. How are you going to stack them up here?
We're forced to make picks here, Gino. So I took the 4. Listen, I'll watch this race just because I want to see what happens. I think the 1, the 3, and the 4, they all have something to offer. I want to see how they run in here, and then I can stack them up going forward and see if they're going to press on for the Derby Trail. I have no interest in the Jerome as a standalone betting race.
No, not anymore, because those are the 3 horses. You don't feel like any one of them is really going to offer you all that much value either. They're going to probably be underlays on what they should be. Any one of those 1, 3, or 4 would not shock me at all. I put My World on top. 4, 3, 1 for Mike. 3, 1, 4 for me. Whoever you play, however you play them, wish you the best of luck.